open this. Okay. So I'm
Got
going
it.
to go ahead and put in the chat a form that will just help you. It's just to help you with taking notes and stuff while we're going. So you can actually download it on your computer, and no, you don't have to print it unless you want to. Is there anyone here that doesn't have Word? Because that may be a problem. I may have to put a different format. So just let me know if you can't open it and I'll fix it. Okay. And there you. So go ahead and make sure you can open it, and yeah, I will go ahead and have another version here in two shapes of lamb's tail here. Just
Okay, we see it. I see it. I should say I got mine.
all right. So make sure everyone can open it, okay? Because
Yes.
not everyone has
Mhm.
Word. I knew you had it. I think we were on that yesterday. So Angel, were you able to get it too?
Yes.
All right, awesome.
Beautiful.
Okay, then we can move right along. Okay, so I am going to leave it up for myself here, in the corner here. Uh, okay, my computer just been a liar. I may have just closed it. This thing. I can just open it up again with this link. All right, so first of all, welcome and thank you for coming today. And you hopefully are in the right place. This is From Victim to Victory training session. And I wanted to start by asking, have any of you ever felt helpless? Like, is there ever a time in your life you were helpless, like you couldn't, felt like you just couldn't handle something or do something on your own? You ever felt helpless? What about isolated, intimidated? There's, yeah. Good. That means we're all in the right place. Okay. All right, good. After all the trouble we were having getting in here, I was a little worried. All right. Seriously, I shouldn't joke about it, but that's what I do. I tend to use humor to alleviate stress for people. And I use that as a teacher because it helps, you know? Um, and when you're working with people that have had trauma, I don't want them to think, I don't want people to think that I think their situation's funny or not serious or not important. I felt all those feelings you're talking about there. It's just that now it's hard for me to not laugh and be happy because now my life's good. It's really good. Um, I've got a wonderful son. I mean, he was always pretty wonderful, except for maybe a couple of years in his life. There's always a couple of years and they have those kind of weird phases they go through, right? Um, and he's got two beautiful babies. So I got two beautiful grandchildren. He's got a glorious fiance that they might get married one of these days. I don't know. COVID kind of put everything on hold and everything else. I don't know. Everything's kind of up in the air. Um, but that's wonderful. And my mom lives with me, so that's been fantastic. My mom and I were always close, and when I was married to my ex-husband, I very seldom got to see my family. So this happiness, this joy that I'm feeling now is fairly new. Oh, and I got a wonderful boyfriend too. Don't want to put down, right? Because he takes care of me and my mom. Like we can't go downstairs, and the laundry is downstairs. So he does all the laundry for us. I mean, all of it. Helps me with the lawn and a whole bunch of stuff around the house. He treats us like queens. It's great. Um, Plus he's so kind and gentle, and I've only seen him mad about something like twice. Twice. I've known him since 2013. All right. And I've seen him met twice. Um, and neither time was it at me. Oh, I was real happy about that because, like I said, things weren't always this way. Um, when I was growing up, I was sexually abused by my father and an uncle. And I was also verbally and emotionally and mentally abused by my father, and then later by my ex-husband. So, feeling good was just not something I was used to, you know? Matter of fact, I was so conditioned by my ex-husband and my father to be that person that people pleaser, and that person that helped for people and didn't do what she. Matter of fact, I didn't really know what I wanted. I didn't know I didn't know who I was really. I met my second he was my second husband actually. He was my soulmate though, because I was married to my first one, and that one was just a mistake all along. I met him when I was married to my first husband, and I knew immediately that I was meant to be with this one. Um, it was just a connection. There was no getting around it or anything. And but I stayed true to my first husband. I was going to stay there and everything. That one didn't go well either. He ended up cheating on me for drugs. He was addicted to crack. So men in my life just haven't been reliable, to say the least. Matter of fact, I felt there for a while that I was better off without them. So, you know, that's why my boyfriend's such a blessing, because he's the antithesis of everything I expected. And I won't say all men, the ones that were attracted to me, or I was attracted. It was like I had this karmic bubble around me that said, "Hey, if you're a bad guy in this way, or this way, here, right here," it's like I had a sign on me. Uh, that's how I felt anyway. Um, of course, it wasn't true. It was just that's how I had been I'd programmed or allowed myself to be programmed. And it took a long time to realize it. A matter of fact, it took my second husband leaving me to realize it. And I was so conditioned to taking care of him and being known as, his wife, and that not my own, that when he told me he was leaving and he wanted a divorce, um, I literally felt like my soul was ripped in half. First of all, like I said, we were our soulmates. We're actually still best friends, believe it or not, even after all we went through. Um, he has apologized a million times since the divorce for all the things he had done to me. But I told him, well, we'll get to that. Anyway, it hurt me so badly that I stopped eating for 3 days. And I think at that point in my life, because I didn't know who I was, and I had so low of a self-esteem, that I might have to allow myself, had I not had a withdrawal at school. And ironically, it was, are you all familiar with Romeo and Juliet? Yeah, okay. Um, so ironically, it was Romeo and Juliet that brought me to my senses, and it wasn't the story itself. It was the nurse. So I don't know if you all remember the character of the nurse. I used to have to read that. I guess because I was older than the teacher in the room. She always had me read the nurse part. So I would read the nurse part, and that Monday, because it was a Friday, my ex asked me for a divorce. At least he was kind enough to give me the weekend to, try to get myself together before I had to go back to work. So he was kind enough. Um, so he even tried to get me to eat because he did all the cooking. I did like the yard work and stuff like I did the car repair and stuff like that. We were completely opposites, but he did the cooking and stuff. So he tried to get me to eat and things and that. But Monday, he made me lunch. He sent me to look to work and everything. And um, she said something along the lines of, and I'm not quoting this exactly, of course, because it's been years now. I used to be able, but I could told you every line she did because I had to say this every year so many times. But it was the part where she was telling Juliet that basically there's other fish in the sea. It was when Romeo got banned and he had, he got kicked out of the city and he got banned. And she was basically like, "Oh, you're young, you'll find somebody else," and all of that. And I'm like, you know what? She's right. You know what? I'm still young. I was almost 50. And I was like, I'm still young. I'll find someone else. I'll find someone better. I'll find someone that doesn't treat me badly. Okay. And that was my turning point. That was where I said, enough's enough. I'm not gonna let some guy cause me, and I did say cause me, because that was how my mindset was at the time. Cause me to kill myself. Because I realized I was starving myself. And so this was right before lunch. And so I went to lunch and I ate everything in my bag. I mean, everything, not just my lunch, my snacks, everything that was in there, everything. And I felt so much better after that. And then I got angry, and I must have stayed angry for a good 6 or 8 months. And believe it or not, I think that anger is what got me through a lot of it. Was it healthy? Probably not. No more than starving myself was. But at that time, I didn't have any coping mechanisms other than keeping it inside, which is definitely not healthy. Because that's what I'd done all my life. And being mad because I didn't know what else to be. So I started thinking about stuff because a little bit more deeply because I was a special ed teacher. And I had been working with kids for years and helping them through their emotional problems. And I worked primarily with, kids that had emotional behavioral disabilities. And I mean, hundreds of kids came through my life. And I still have them, come up to me in Walmart and tell me what an impact I made on their lives. And because I listened and I understood them and, all of this. And I'm thinking I was such a hypocrite back then because I didn't practice what I preached. But by thinking about it and by going through what I went through with him and the devastation and the trauma of everything that had gone on and trying to repair all of that. And at first, yeah, I tried it all on my own. I did. I came from a family where, you did fight. Um, Back when I grew up, that's what you did. You didn't talk about stuff outside of the family. You did stuff by yourself. You didn't go to a therapist. You didn't definitely didn't know anything about moving energy. You didn't know about a lot of stuff that we know about nowadays. So I said, okay, how can I do this? How can I deal with this myself? And I'm like, okay, well, why don't you start practicing what you preach to these kids? So I went back and I looked at everything I'd ever told them. And I even went back to my books and, looked at all the stuff that I had learned and over the years. And I'm like, none of this really fits me, but I started thinking, I never really used these books to help my kids either. They had some basis, but honestly, textbooks don't have real life applications because, everyone's different. So I said, okay, let me stop and start thinking here. What do all these different students have in common? They all had different types of trauma. They all had, different backgrounds. They had different family lives. They had different things. It just everything was different. So I started looking for the commonalities. And through that, I came up with 3 pillars. All right. And those 3 pillars is where you're going to get your 3 keys. You're going to get one from each one of those pillars. Now, of course, we're just gonna skim the surface today. Those 3 keys I'm going to give you, it's really just going to set you on the path from victim to victory. And I say I should back up just a minute because I want to clarify something. I got the 3 pillars from them. I never thought of my students as victims, ever. I never allowed them to think of themselves as victims. I never thought of myself as a victim because, and I want to say this carefully here, I preferred to think of myself as a survivor from the get go. Okay. With everything I had been through in my life, I had survived. If I had thought of myself as a victim even once, I think I would have curled up in a ball and stayed there. And so I used to tell my students that, actually, they joked with me about, that which does not kill us, makes us stronger. And we used to joke about that because it's one of the Hitler things and all that. And we're like, that's horrible, because of what they did and everything. So we started using it as a joke to make us feel strong. We took it back. You know what I'm saying? We took it and made it ours. And so in our little classroom, no one else was around, we made it. And speaking of that, whatever just happens in this little group here, because I meant to do this first, stays in this group. We used to have a saying in our classroom because how they say that whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Yeah. Well, we used to call our classroom Little Vegas. Whatever happened in our classroom stayed in our classroom. So this is going to be Little Vegas for today. All right. um, because I want you all to feel safe to share. And I mean, I don't mind sharing. I share my story with everybody, but I want you to feel safe. It took me a long time to feel safe and comfortable sharing my story with people. And I realized when I started opening up to some of my students, not all of them, but the ones that I felt needed some pieces of my story, very small pieces, mind you, because I mean, these are high school students, but still very small pieces. Um, it helped them. It helped them to understand that they were talking to someone that could understand where they were coming from and that could relate and could really help them. And so I want you to feel free to share safely and comfortably. So I should have said that in the beginning, and I apologize. I'm a little bit out of order with this whole technology thing mixed up, but it's okay. It's okay. We're all good, right? We're all good. So me being dyslexic, I'm used to doing things backwards. It's good. All right. So anyway, back to the story. So I got these pieces from my students by looking at how I'd helped them over the years. And I started applying them in my life. And then I started applying them more systematically with my students. And the pillars that I'm going to talk about. And it made so much of a I was able to help them faster, I guess I should say it. smoother. It's like I could find out their biggest challenge and help them to overcome it in a more systematic way than what I had been doing before, which was total instinct, total intuitiveness, which I've always used my intuition because, that's, to me, that's the divine talking to me, telling me, whispering in my ear saying, okay, and that's fine. Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a roadmap, to go by. So I still used my intuition along that roadmap with each student to know where to start them. Because it was the 3 pillars, you still like use them differently, like maybe this one needs to start with pillar 2, maybe this one needs to start with, but at least then I had the 3 pillars. I felt like I had some science behind it, okay, and some basis for what I was doing. It just made me a little more confident. And even though I'd been doing this for 17 years, by the time I got done, I was, I taught for 17 and a half years. I still felt like I was blindly groping in a dark room a lot of times because I've my own lack of self-esteem. But anyway, so let's get to the 3 keys. I want you to get that, and I know we're going to run out of time. I will tell you that for those of you that can stay till the end, I will be offering you something else free at the end. And I'm hoping you'll take me, because 30 minutes of being able to do like a little mini plan with me with these pillars, it may help you get to that next step on your path. All right. So that's what I'm going to offer you at the end of it. But okay, let's talk about those 3 pillars. So I kind of gave them funny names because, with my dyslexia and stuff, I like to be able to remember stuff easily. So the first one I call victim mentality and why it isn't reality. All right. And then the second one is reframing your reality. And then the third one is visualizing your future self and owning it. Okay. So basically visualizing your victor and owning it. Okay, your victory and owning it. So those are my 3 pillars. And that's kind of what I base all my programs and everything I do on, because with those 3 things, I can help anyone get over trauma. Literally. I've helped, you wouldn't believe all the different kinds of things I've helped. And I'm talking people that are older than me, younger than me, same age as me, all walks of life. Okay. I work with a nonprofit now, and I still continue to do what I did in school. It's just now I don't get paid for it. So anyway, first pillar, we're going to look at victim mentality. How many of you heard victim mentality before? Yeah, some of you. Okay. So all of you. Okay, great. So victim mentality, and I think I've got that on the sheet there. Let me bring that up there because I did that sheet the other day and I don't remember what I put on there now. I'm gonna lose your pretty faces for just a second. Yes, victim mentality. It refers to, and I got this, I did get this right off the internet because I wanted you to have the exact definition according to how it is defined, like in psychology and oops, sorry, I'm trying to get the thing where I can still see you all and read it too, and such. So this is actually, I got this from GPT. I asked him, I said, oh, while you're at it, can you define victim mentality for me? So I had him define it for me. So I call it a him because he was giving me attitude the first time I talked to him. I figured, must be now. Anyway, it's just one of those days I had a slip up, but anyway. All right, so victim mentality refers to a state of mind where a person perceives themselves as a victim of blank. What do you think goes in that blank? Drop it in the chat, or you can Put yourself off mute. Tell me what you think. This is only you up there. I bring up my notes. Just notice I've got just the thing up, but I don't have my notes. Oh, I don't need that many up. Don't you love when you try to click something open and it opens 3 of them? Oh, okay. So what do we got here? Use violence, right? Oh, I may have just now saw your message. Thank you. Um, both are very good answers. I do not remember what he said, so let me bring up my note here because I want to give it to you straight from the computer's mouth, right? Let's see here. I'll open. There it is. Um, that was not it. It was another blank. Open, I said open. Links and other. I should have maybe one that's the answer key though to help. I think I might have right here. Sorry, I gotta get real quick because my lip is sticking to my teeth. I use talking this much. All right. Um, seriously. Where are my notes? Thought I had these right here. I'm sorry, guys. There, but it's not. So we will just go with it. I think either of those would fit into that blank very well. You could actually say, what it really is supposed to be though is circumstances, a victim of circumstances. So they see themselves as a victim of circumstances, like life happens to them. Okay. So yeah, life in general. Yeah, yeah. So circumstances. So if you want to go ahead and type that in, of course, you can't type on the line, I'll just move the line. So if you want to just go ahead and highlight that line and type it in there, make yourself a copy of that first though. And then other people's, we think that goes, what goes there, other people's actions, opinions, both good answers. Yeah. I just now saw your answer, May. Sorry about that. Being wrong with someone or something a while ago. Yes, that would work too. Because those are all circumstances, right? All of those answers. Yeah, it is actions by someone else's actions. And then the other one is or their past, their own past. Um, Ooh, behaviors would have worked too. Yeah, I like that too. But yeah, it's action. Okay, and or their own past. And actually, May, you're ahead of us there because that's where behaviors goes. Their own past behaviors. I think you were reading my mind on that one. I was reading ahead. Sign in here. And then oops. Yeah, I keep on. This is people with a victim mentality may see themselves as blank, powerless, and blank. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that one up because I did not remember. Here. Sorry, I'm trying to get signed into my account here so I can bring this other thing up. I think it's in the other account. That's what happens when you have like 7 emails. Oh yeah, we gotta put that. All right, you guys go ahead and give me some words you think will go in that first one though. While we're waiting.
What was the first one?
Yeah, the one right before. I lost my place. The one before powerless. People with a victim mentality may see themselves as blank, powerless, and blank their situation. Well, that's new. Well, guys, Chat GPT is no longer free. Just so you know. That's not cool. What do you guys think? What's one of the words we used earlier? Kind of goes with the other word that's up there. I think it's kind of redundant, but another word for powerless. Yeah, I might be wrong. Yeah, that one. Oh, victimized, powerless, etc. I like victimized, definitely. I think we could put that in there. Helpless is also another word I'll use there, but again, that's just like powerless. So yeah, I think victimized would definitely work there. And then let's see, and what was the last thing on that one? People with a victim mentality may see themselves as victimized, powerless, and Ooh, immobilized. Oh, I like that one too. Immobilized. Linked their situation. Their situation. 2 words there. I can't think of one word that would fit. Can you? It's not this long. I can't find my sheet. I had this all written out. That's the problem. Oh, I know where it's at. I know where it's at. It's on that sheet that she gave us. Yeah. All right, where? No, I couldn't find it because I was looking in the wrong place. Okay. What is she? Um, Ooh, defenseless. Defenseless in our lives. Yeah, that would work. I like that angel. Good. Anyone else? Sorry, I think I might sneeze again. I don't know why that hits me out of the blue sometimes. Okay. So what do the rest of you think? You think that one works? Defenseless in their lives? Where did it go? I had my entire speech on there just about, and then decided not to use it. It's on that page. Uh, okay, I'm just not gonna worry about it. We're just gonna put in what we think it is and go on because it's taking too long. All right, so defenseless, defenseless in their situation. I think that would work. Or um immobilized by their situation, not able to trust life. Yeah, I mean that's true, but I don't think it would fit on that blank. Um, so I think you could use defenseless or immobilized, and just make sure you use the right pronoun with it, or yeah, not pronoun, adverb, whatever it is. Oh man, I've been out of teaching too long. I've forgotten my grammar. Give self-doubt, resignation, lack of energy, hopelessness, trapped, numb, checked out of their situation. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, sometimes it's checked out of their life even, right? Yeah. No, I was. Okay. Definitely use any of those. Preposition, that was the word I was looking for. Preposition. Like of, that's what I was thinking. All right. Dr. Jupiter, do you have something else to add, or are you wanting us to go ahead? You're muted. Okay. Frozen. Frozen in their situation? Or are you going for the next one? They may feel blank in a cycle of negativity. Blaming blank for their problems and may struggle to take blank for their actions. So yeah, this one's pretty, this one's a lot easier. So others, definitely they blame others. Yeah, definitely. And I think I may had that one right at the beginning there. They may feel frozen in a cycle of negativity or stuck, right? Stuck in a cycle. of negativity. Definitely blaming others. Angel, you got that one dead up, straight up. That is the whole thing about victim mentality, is you blame others. You don't take responsibility for your own actions. Paralyzed. Oh, definitely. That's a good word. They may struggle to take action or take responsibility for their actions. I was reading the brain jump. Take responsibility for their actions. And that's the big thing about victim mentality. So that last blank there on that first paragraph is responsibility. And that's part of why I didn't want my students to call themselves victims, is because I wanted them to understand that they needed to take responsibility for their own actions, just as I had to do. And that's the other part of the story with my ex is, he started apologizing every time I saw him. It was annoying. Okay. Yes. The man was annoying when he was a functional alcoholic. Okay. Is a functional alcoholic, whatever. I'm not sure. I honestly don't know. I don't know if he still is or not. I think he is. He almost died last summer, and then I think he went back to drinking and smoking. I don't know. I don't know. But my point is this. I sat him down and I told him he needed to stop that. He needed to stop apologizing. And I told him that because I was as much to blame as he was, because I allowed it to go on. I enabled him. And I took responsibility for my part. And that was the first time that I had done that in our relationship. And when I did that, it was very freeing, actually. I was very surprised that I did it. To be honest, that I sat down with him and talked this honestly with him. And he was surprisingly glad that I did. We had a very honest and open conversation, and he actually cried. It was nice because I had my best friend back. We had been our confidants and best friends kind of since I was 19. So we still talk to each other, and his best friends, his wife's one of my friends, and it's nice because now when we have family get-togethers and stuff for our grandkids, it's not awkward. Okay, so there is something to be said about taking responsibility for your part of things. Now, some forms of abuse, I'm not sure there is a responsibility for. When I was 6 years old, I don't see that I had responsibility for my dad sexually abusing me. I just can't see that. I don't know what I could have done to cause that, or you see what I'm saying? There was nothing I could have done to cause that. So it's not always, there's not always responsibility to be taken, is what I'm trying to say. So I mean, that's why situations are, you have to take them as individuals. But with my ex-husband, yes, I was just as much to blame as he was. I was making, I was codependent on him, and I enabled him and all that stuff. And so we talked about it, and I said, yep, just as much to blame. And I drove you into the arms of another woman and all this stuff. So yeah. All right. So moving on. Because I do want to get to this. We haven't got to the first key yet. Matter of fact, let me just give you the rest of these words so that we can move on. So victim mentality can be a result of experiencing trauma or other negative life events. It can also be reinforced by societal or cultural messages that suggest that people are unable to change their circumstances. While it's important to acknowledge, sorry, I had glare on my glasses. While it's important to acknowledge and respect the experiences of those who have experienced trauma or abuse, it's also important to what is it we're looking for? It's also important to encourage individuals to take control of their lives and work towards healing and recovery. It's okay, Angel. We will have this recording and I can send it to you in email. Okay. Thank you for coming. All right. It's important to note that having a victim mentality does not make a person weak or inferior. And it's not necessarily a negative state of mind, which may surprise some people. With the right support and resources, individuals, oh, I'm sorry, not negative, permanent state of mind. Permanent is a negative state of mind. A permanent state of mind. Bad teacher, bad coach. With the right support and resources, individuals can learn to reframe their thinking, take responsibility for their lives, and more towards and work towards move towards a more positive and empowered state of mind. All right. So one way that you can do that is with the 5-5 breathing technique, and probably both of you have done this before. I don't know if you have or not. 5-5. It's kind of like what we were doing in the other one I did yesterday. So the 5-5 breathing technique is just it's where you breathe in as you count to 5 seconds as you breathe in through your nose. And then you hold it for 5 seconds. And then as you breathe out slowly through your nose as well, you count to 5 seconds. And then you just repeat. And you can repeat that as often as you need to. Some people actually do it for a count of 5. They do it 5 times because then it's 5-5-5. Makes it a nice, divinity kind of number. I'm not going to make us go through it all because we've all been nice and relaxed today once, I believe. But at least, well, two of us have. I don't know about Dr. Jupiter. Have you had your meditation today, Dr. Jupiter? Yeah. Okay. All right. It doesn't have, and this surprised me because I looked for who created it because I wanted to give them credit. It doesn't have a specific creator or originator, but it has been used in various forms by different cultures and traditions for centuries. However, it's often recommended by therapists, yoga instructors, and other practitioners as a simple and effective way to reduce stress and anxiety. It is also sometimes referred to as box breathing or square breathing due to the equal duration of each phase of the breath cycle. The 5-5 breathing technique is often referred to by different names depending on the context or tradition. Regardless of the name, it can be a helpful tool for, I gotta scroll down, sorry, for anxiety and stress. So that is actually not even one of the keys. That was just kind of a bonus I was throwing in for everybody because you can't really get to the keys and be able to use them effectively if you don't have a way of reducing your stress and anxiety. And since I know you both know how to breathe well, it's hard to not making you go through this, and we're running out of time. So I do want to get to the 3 keys. So I'm going to go ahead and give you these here. These are my 3 pillars. This is, oh, actually, what is it? No, this is, okay. 3 ways to fight victim mentality and negative self-talk. So let's go ahead and get this done. And then I'm going to give you, yeah, we'll go ahead and get this done. And then I'll get back on where I was. Okay, so number 1 here, it says the process of imagining what you want your life to look like in the future. So this is one of the keys. And like I said, these aren't necessarily in order because you might want to use this one later. You may not be in the mindset in the beginning of your healing process. So depending on, what kind of trauma you've been in. Okay. Amay, do you have a question?
Yes, I was thinking right now, as I'm going back and forth with the worksheet,
Yes.
it might be nice for you to do a shared screen so you can have the worksheet there for us to be following along together.
Okay.
Because it is a little hard to see it while we're keeping the Zoom screen there.
Good
And
point.
also for people that are watching the recording back, that way they'll have that there.
Good point. Thank you. I'm glad you point that out because this is the first time I've done this and I did not think of that. So let me do that now. Share screen options. Oh, I wanted. They got the two right beside each other. I had the wrong one. Okay, so we want the one that lets you see just that, right? Actually, that one right there. There it is. Okay. All right. Whoa. It moved you all.
You go to basic, basic, right?
On.
There you go.
Hang on. Yeah, I was just gonna make this a little bigger so you all can see it better.
Thank
Because
you.
now that I can move you all over there or move you around, is that better?
Yes. we see.
Okay. All right. And I had actually sent out a self-care checkup prior to the training. Like I said, my email didn't go out, so it's down here. So we'll get to that in a minute. But so in this first one, this is visualization. And some people in the beginning of their healing process, they're unable to visualize easily. So we may not do it, in the beginning. We may move it to the middle, we may move it to the end. And that's why these pillars are nice because you can move them. They're not like they're permanent pillars, but they can be placed in different spots. Okay. Think of it like when you're building a porch, all three pillars are the same size, right? So it doesn't matter which one you put where, as long as they're all put up at the same time or they're all put up, right? So that's what I think about with these pillars. As long as you use them all, that porch is going to be supported or that roof's going to be supported. You feel me? You get what I'm saying here, right? Some nods, make sure y'all still awake. Okay. All right.
We're with you.
All right. Okay. So it is a process of imagining what you want your life to look like in the future. So after doing this deep breathing, what I normally do is I have you do this, and I do want you to do this part with me. I want you to close your eyes for a minute. Close them. Close them. I'm watching you. Close your eyes. Okay. Okay. And I want you to imagine what you want your life to be a year from now, just a year. Where do you see yourself living? What kind of clothes do you have? Spend time with your family? Are you going on vacations? Are you living in the same place? What is it like? Do you have your business up and running the way you want it? Just visualize it. Get in. When you think you've got it firmly in place, you know exactly where you want to be a year from now. Open your eyes. Just us now. Okay. So let's fill in these last two real quick then. The next one says the process of replacing negative internal messages with positive or at least neutral ones. So you and I have talked about this before, I know. And that's when we talk about, negative self-talk. So we want to replace that. And this is where I talked about, kicking that inner critic to the curb. And it's so it's using positive self-talk. So however you want to call it for you, since you don't like that kicking the critic to the curb kind of thing. So if you want, you can just say using positive self-talk, or retraining the brain with positive self-talk. That's really what it is. It's the process of replacing negative internal messages with positive ones, or at least neutral, so they're not negative. And that is the second key. And to me, that's one of the most important ones, because you would be surprised at how many times we think negative things, and in a day, in a minute even. And one of the things I like to have people do, and my students and my older clients too, were amazed by this, as I had them take a piece of paper, just a scrap piece of paper, and you would fold it like a hot dog bun, this way, long ways. And then what you would do, you would open it up. And I've got notes on that, but I'm going to put it on here anyway. You put a plus on one side, okay? Plus on one side, and a minus on the other. And that's really hard to see in pencil. You have a minus on one side and plus on one side, on the other side. And then what you do is you put it in front of you, and you put your hand down to where you know which side's which. All right. Close your eyes for a minute. And I usually would talk them, kind of quietly talk them into a state of relaxation. And then have them just let their minds wander and float. Now, if you want, we can do this since we're short on time. We can probably just skip it. But what's amazing is this. Every time you have a positive thought, you put a tally mark, just a little tally mark on the side with a plus. So I want to bring up a blank sheet here so you can kind of see what it will look like. And then that again. I got to move you also. New. So if this was my paper, okay, come on. Well, that didn't work. Need a column. Okay, there we go. So on this side, let's say I put the positive, right? The plus. And I'm gonna make that bigger so you can see it. So I'm gonna put it in the middle.
We can see it, it's fine. We get the idea. There you go, that's cool.
And then I put a negative on this side. And then I put it in the middle. Oops. Where did it go? All right. And then, of course, below these, I would just have little tick marks, little tally marks. Now, since I can't draw tally marks with my mouse, I'm going to use this, all right? So I'll just have these little things. So every time I think a positive thought or something positive crosses my mind, I put one on that column. And every time something negative crosses my mind, I put something on this column. People that have more positives than negatives are considered optimists. And people in the people that say that, the glass is half full, and people that have more negatives than positives are considered pessimists, and they are the ones that say that the glass is half empty. So this is just a little it's kind of let you know where you're starting at. And it also lets you know that, like, you probably have, if you have more negatives than you do positives, then you probably have more negative self-talk than someone that has more positives, for example. So you're going to have to really watch that negative, that self-talk a lot more than someone that thinks more positively. Okay. So this just gives us a visual of how your brain works or is working right now. And it's kind of nice to hang on to this sheet and then do it again in, say, a month after you've had a month to practice. But I will tell you, and this is something I just found out, most people, we'd always been told that it took like a month to get in a new habit, or to break an old habit or something like that. It actually takes 72 days. And this I thought was amazing, because most people give up after, a month if they can't do it, or, because they were always told that. And so knowing this, it may help people to stick with it. And so I'm glad that I know this now, so I can pass on this information, right? And I just learned that in one of the talks this week. So I thought that was amazing to know that. But anyway, this is how you do that. And so that's one of the things that I do with my my clients, just to kind of give you a visual and a baseline to kind of see where you are. And like I said, do it again in a month, and then do it again in another month, or maybe we'll just wait for 72 days, second time. But it's kind of nice to just kind of do it every once in a while and see where you are, how much you've improved, or if you've improved. Have you been doing your homework? As the old teacher in me says, right? So, let me the chat here. Oh, that's it. I'll have to thank her later. So let me get back to the other one. And I think we're just about done with it. There is a link I put in there that you can do on your own later. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oops. Do not need that. Just move this, couldn't I? Yeah, there it is. Really? What just happened? It disappeared. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's go get it open again. I want to close some of this other stuff down because I don't need it now. Stuff I didn't end up using. So anyway, do you have any questions so far? Because we've just got one more key to go. No, okay. I'm in the wrong place. Open Sesame. There you go. See, my machine lets me move that thing. All right, so the last one. So we've got visualization. We've got positive thinking, right? Retraining our brains. And then this one says the process of taking care of oneself, getting 8 hours of sleep every night, eating 3 times a day, exercising according to your doctor's recommendations. These are just some of the things. So this is self-care. This is another one that's very important. And something that I have been, maybe not doing so well here recently because, we've been getting ready for these things. But, and we all have times when we slip back, but we have to really watch ourselves with this one, especially if we've been through trauma. And, like I said, I was kind of trained to be a people pleaser and help others. So I have to really watch myself with this one because I will put others people's needs and I have to really look at myself. And so this is something I point out to my clients too, is if this is where they are, this is the one they want to spend the most time on. Well, along with the negative self. So these are the 3 keys that I like to start with because, in my opinion, if you have these 3 keys, they give you a good solid foundation on which to build. Okay. So for example, one of my young ladies that I worked with, and I still see her all the time, just every chance she gets, she comes to my house and she calls me her second mom and she calls my mom Nana, or grandma. She's just a delight. And I call her my adopted daughter. She's just wonderful. She but when I first met her, she wouldn't even talk to me. And then when she did, she would whisper so softly that you'd have to lean over and almost put your mouth against her ear to hear her. All right. And even then it was hard to hear her. And I've got really good ears. Okay. I mean, I could hear students all the way across the room talking and hear what they're saying, but I was having problems hearing her. And it was all because she had really low self-esteem and she was afraid that if she spoke out loud, that people would say something about what she said or would be wrong and they'd make fun of her or just there was all kinds of reasons. And this delightful young lady, her name's Ambrosia, and she is just a beautiful child. And I still call her a child. She's 20 something now, but she's still my child. That's what I tell her. She is now working in healthcare. She definitely doesn't have problems finding her voice. She will tell you like it is now. She stands up for herself. She stands up for her rights. She is taking her abuser to court. I'm so proud of her. My heart swells every time I think about it. I'm just so proud of how much she has accomplished since I first started working with her. I can't tell you all of the strides she has made. But just finding her voice and being able to stand up for herself, just that alone is a miracle. I mean, it's something she told me she never thought she'd be able to do. And the fact that she's doing it and she's doing it very well. I don't mean to make her sound like she's like, shoving down people's throats or anything. She just She stands up for herself very well. She's assertive, not overly so. Um, but she's still respectful, you know, and it's just, and I'm just so proud of her. And, you know, if you wanted to be able to make strides with the challenges that you're facing, like Ambrosia has, then I would, you know, suggest that you jump into a victory discovery call with me, where we would spend 30 minutes coming up with a mini plan for you and talk about if we could maybe work together and get you some support. Because, I mean, think about it. You can do this stuff on your own, like I had to do, but it takes way longer. And there's a lot of trial and error. You have to do all the research yourself. You have to get out there. If you don't know what you're doing, there's so much you have to look up, and it's just hard. It's hard doing it by yourself. I'm not gonna lie, it was just hard. But I've helped so many people. Like I said, I've helped hundreds of people now. And I would be honored to help you on your journey to leave that old victim mentality behind toward that victory. So if you're willing, I have 10 spots open. That's all I've got. Don't know how long you're gonna last, because this is not my only event. And my calendar's pretty full. So I would suggest you get in there and get it now while you can. I will put the link in the chat so you can copy it if you want to. As soon as I can find the chat again. Hold on. There. Okay, let's find it again. May, can you help me find the chat? Oh, there it is. Never mind. I found it. Never mind. I moved the bar and forgot where I put it. All righty, here we go. I found the chat. Now let me go over. Whoops, let me go over here and get the link for you wonderful people. Just take me. Oh, sometimes I wish I was singing, you know. It's just not so quiet. You can unmute yourself if you want. Do you have any questions or concerns? Anything that's bothering you, or anything you want to talk about? Just remember, we're still recording. Oh, let's see what that is there.
Yeah, what's all that's there for me right now is that, you know, for us with self-care, it's really listening to the body. So listening right now, as we were both up
Oh my God.
4 or more.
Try 6. I fell asleep in front of my computer twice.
Yeah, so it may be to listen now, and maybe there's some rest in the near future.
Yes.
Head on the pillow and some real resting and whatever our body is wanting to do. So
I am with you on that. I told my mom earlier today or last night, I can't remember. Well, it was this morning. It was this morning. So in a way, it was my night, because she got up when I was going to bed. I told her that when we were both done with our events, we were both going to get some sleep. But I do have a meeting this afternoon for one that I'm a wing woman for. but that shouldn't be too long. Okay, I'm trying to get here. I went the wrong way and it said page not found and scared me.
I don't think that the chat is going to be part of the video. So
Oh, okay. Does it not come up on there? thought it, okay. I
I
haven't,
don't know. Maybe you
I
can
don't know. I was just
put
gonna
it
put
up
it there
there.
just
I'm
in
not sure
case.
either, but
I thought I better put it just in case.
okay. Good.
I know it's in these emails here because I had it set up. I don't know why it didn't go. Well, this one won't go till.
So right now, while it's still recording, is there anything that you want to say, anything else as you know, in your, as
I
you're
wish,
going towards completion?
I wish that the technology had worked better so we could have done all the activities because they were more fun doing them than just talking about them. But otherwise, I'm glad that everything else went fine. I'm surprised I got through it as well as I did without my slides, but yeah, it's done. My first one, my next one. How about you? Are you glad your first one's done?
I am really happy and I feel really blessed. I'm so thankful for all of your help and you being there to support me. And it was really beautiful. We can talk about that. I just feel like this is kind of like your container. I feel
Oh
like we
yeah.
should wrap it up. Like you should end this
Yeah.
powerfully and like we should push ending of the recording and then have that.
Well, I will say, the messages in the chat filled me up. I really loved some of the things that were said, and I didn't read them out loud. Maybe I should have, but you know, this whole, some of this being, you know, confidential and stuff, it's hard for me to know what to read and what not to, and some of it being, you know, directed just to me, I definitely wouldn't have, but just some of it's just for me, you know, and it's just Dr. Jupiter's so sweet. um I just, I hope that everyone uses the 3 keys and the breathing technique that, you know, I have in this video, and that it helps them in their daily lives. And I will say that you got to practice. It's like anything else, you know, whether you're learning an instrument or playing a sport or learning how to squash negative self-talk. You got to practice. You know, practice makes perfect. I'm having to relearn the words I'm not supposed to say out loud because I've been away from school so long that I started saying them again. So I didn't realize I was doing it until a friend reminded me, and I'm so glad she did because I didn't realize I was doing it. And I think I picked it up from people in my environment, and I didn't even realize, like, oh, that's not good. So I got to get back into doing what I used to, and that positivity. I used to always be the person that saw the thing in every dark and always pointed it out, you know. And I want that for you too, because even when I was in my darkest days, I would always look at it. Even if I could only see a little bitty thread of it, I would always look, you know, because if you can see the positive, it makes life better. the more positive you stay, the better your life. And I'll also say you should probably take a mace class too, because it was awesome this morning. And she's very helpful with the whole healing. And I slept like a baby when I did sleep. I didn't want to get up. Oh, yeah,
That's good to hear.
I'll add that too, because it was really that great. And I think that's why I was so relaxed during this, even though I didn't have my notes, I didn't have my slides, and normally that would have put me into a panic attack. Chill. So, I think that's also part of staying positive and just, everything. And I think that going to yours first helped that. Yeah, I wanted to give you some kudos in there too. And I think that's why we're going to end up working together. So anyway, that's it. So thank you all for coming, and have a blessed day.
Thank you, Vera. Thank you. I acknowledge you for your heart and your care and your love that radiates, that wants to hold people so tenderly, with such gentleness. And just that quality alone, that's really your superpower. Just your expression of that care and wanting people to feel safe in sharing. And I want to support you in anchoring that and really building confidence around that. So there's you creating that space, and then there's you holding people in that space so that you can really come to meet them intimately, come to have them meet you intimately. And if you're going to be in a group, having them come to meet each other.
Yes.
And so, you actually, I want to give you some feedback.
Okay. Should I turn this off? I'll leave it on. Leave it on.
Okay.
I want to have it to look back at it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you created this really safe space. You really started to create this, and people felt held. So as you develop, and there's nothing wrong, everything was perfect in this moment, and this, because you didn't know how many people were going to come. You didn't know it was just going to be like this small group. But as you start to kind of be willing to stay in the moment and shift things to be of service in the highest, and maybe you shift your agenda, maybe, what you thought you were going to do might need to just let it go, and then you come to what is right here. But what's possible, and I could feel that you opened the space so that there could, instead of just going with the words on a page and the texting, right, that it's always engagement in the highest is always where I'm always headed to go, to bring people engaging, connecting, because that's where that vibrational frequency that becomes higher, and zing, the zing factor, right? I think that there's this kind of amazing, this zing factor,
right?
Zing of excitement of being seen, heard, and loved, and sharing, right? So I think that there's a place where, with this unique group, as Dr. Jupiter even said, that perhaps with the names Angel, with your experience of sharing and experiencing Dr. Jupiter yesterday, and then me and you, it could have been that we could open a dialogue that's a little bit more, let's allow the souls to speak in the right now and see what's blossoming, it's meant to come through us, rather than staying with an agenda or some formula. Because I think that there was something, right? And we can pick it up later, and we can always, create something new. And so there's no right or wrong, it's all perfect.
Yeah.
I think that there's a space where I want to guide you, and this is going to just come with you, like learning how to actually work with people and not feeling like you have to go to be a teacher in a classroom, right? But
Exactly.
there's kind of like that's your strong suit. You feel comfortable with that, like let's fill in the blanks.
Yeah, I'm still in that mindset.
But there's a space where when you're working with healing and working with a safe space, I also, I want to be really straight with you on something that was coming up for me. Like, and I'm surprised for this, but I want to be able to be really straight with you. Okay.
Always.
So it's interesting because when we're working with people that have experienced trauma or being a victim, there's sometimes like if somebody has experienced abuse, that like suppression, right? Like you're being suppressed, your voice is being suppressed, you're fearful, right? Somebody else is like overting a particular level of control over you. You are allowing that, you're participating in that in certain ways, you know, and or surviving it in certain ways, but that's a dynamic that's happening. And so there's a space where I think if you go too rudimentary, like too rudimentary, people might feel like, because we're wanting to stay with you going slow, fill in the blanks, but it also, it's kind of keeping the experience of it's like keeping it out there, like removed from us, versus
Gotcha.
allowing us to come inward,
Yeah.
feel our feelings, express our feelings, rather than working with a sheet. It's maybe like looking at, well, what are your feelings? And our feelings rather than somebody else's hypothetical feelings, like and I don't know. I don't think that there's anything right or wrong. I think that I
if I
think
did
that
this
it's
before, I mean, not before.
I think
I
I want you to know
think
I
I would just give
honor
them that definition, just hand it to them. Like, this is the definition, so that this is the definition. So when I talk about victim mentality, this is what I'm talking about. And that way
I
it's
think
just out there.
I think there is to go a bit. I think that there's a space to allow more for sharing, right? And I also want to guide you that when you speak of your trauma,
Mhm.
there was you sped up a lot, like
I
almost
know.
like to avoid it,
I want
right?
to get through it. Yeah.
Right. But it's actually an
I did it because
opportunity.
for you guys though, more than
I
me.
know it's an opportunity because when you do that, because that's really also the sacred like wound that's having your soul want to reach out to help others. So it also creates a spaciousness that allows people to hold their wounds, that they matter, that we're holding them. We're not just quickly shoving them under the rug or avoiding them. There's a space of like wanting to be a safe space for that expression so that, if you're going to be opening up to sharing, and, that would be something that we could do, right? Is start to really develop a safe space where people can really share in a safe way. And you can either do that in breakout rooms so that they get to do that, or with a
And be
small
heard.
group like this, we could actually open that up and develop a richness of connection that's quite remarkable.
I'm taking notes if you're wondering why I'm looking down.
So yeah, and it's an honor to be here and that they showed up.
I'm so happy they
They
did.
showed up. They have something that they might like to share. And so I think that you might, when you say whatever you're going to say about your own trauma in the past, that, you know, you could even say something like, because it's about your ability to become the observer, your higher self, and to hold loving space for the wounded child, the younger part, the younger child, which is also like the light, right? So it's like the front and the back of the hand, like the bright light, young, joyous, creative, playful genius. And then the other side can be the woundedness, you know, like surviving something that was given. So I think that there's a space to really just be activating that love. So when you speak about this wound or something that happened to you, a trauma, maybe you want to just like take a pause, that you know, you can kind of be like, say, you know, I'm going to pause here and just take a moment to honor that trauma that I went through as a 5-year-old, and honor that little girl that had that happen, and her courage, her fears, her journey that has me be here right now talking to you.
I
I
would never have
did it.
thought to do that, so I'm glad you're saying all this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just creating it in the moment. It's just coming to me. So I'm committed that this is a safe space, that I'm holding a safe space for you, and that we all hold a safe space together. If anyone would like to share anything.
That wasn't how I did that safe space, and it wasn't how I originally had planned it.
No, listen. But
So,
yeah, don't worry about that, because it was all perfect. There's no right or wrong place. And I think it's actually more effective rather than you just sharing it in the beginning, because you warmed everybody up. It was
yeah,
warm. You were warming everybody up. You were opening them. I think it was more effective placing it as you did.
then
So
the
I want you to
slideshow stuff. So.
just trust yourself that that was perfect. And it's that negative self-talk, that's part of it, that negative,
It just
that
felt weird not
it's
being
part of the
prepared.
judgment and evaluation, where you, what felt weird?
Not being prepared. It just felt really weird. I'm not used to that. I'm used to being prepared for like 2 weeks ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? Because I was always that teacher, that kind of teacher.
Okay, so you're
Especially with my
relating,
students, you know,
yeah, so you're relating it to the need to be prepared for what grade?
high school. So
Uh,
special ed.
and what grade? Any particular grade?
Oh, I did them all. And
Okay, so for special ed in high school.
yeah, so 9 through
Yeah.
12. But mostly by the time I got done, it was mostly and mostly 10th graders, I think 10th and 11th there. So yeah.
Yeah, so you want to be clear about your audience, that we are not high school,
Yeah, I know.
you know, we are not, but in some ways, you don't know, people might have a fragmented part of them, and that is true.
It's like I had to block that kid's camera today. Did you see that?
No, what?
During your dancing, he kept like making muscles in the camera and took a shirt off and everything else, and was like trying to be
You blocked him?
I had to. He started to get he was starting to get almost inappropriate, and I was afraid he was going to get inappropriate. So I had to turn his camera off.
Mm.
And this other guy asked if he could take and be in his underwear. And so I was
Yeah.
like, well, why don't you just leave your camera off then? So, yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, so maybe, so he ask that in the whole general chat? I didn't save the chat and I didn't get to read it. So
Yeah,
it
he
was
asked.
all, did you save any of the chat?
I no, I forgot to. And I did send you. I sent you in the chat. One of your ladies messaged me instead of you and said that I won't get her words exactly right, but basically that we were all blessings, and that she just absolutely loved you, and that the music was so relaxing and peaceful and sublime or serene, one of those two words. It was an S word, but I can't remember which one. And it was the lady that had the magnifying glass. Did you see the magnifying glass? She had uh it was the one that was almost in the dark. She came in late. Um you welcomed her. She came in late, darker skin. Um
Mm.
I can't remember her name. But anyway, it was her, and she just was very impressed by you and loved it. And she had to leave early. But I did send her the link, and I was like, well, be sure that you check it and all that stuff. Anyone that left early, I made sure I said that to them. Be safe, and don't forget, you can go here and get this call. But yeah, yeah. But no, that kid was like, he was making. I don't want to see that. I had enough.
I wonder if rather than us, just since like as an admin, if you're texting like, come book the calendar, maybe you could even just say, rather than just don't forget, maybe you just say,
I was supposed to say remember anyway.
And maybe you say something like, thank you for you could say something like, what do you see possible for you in having more of this?
Well, with two of them, they were leaving so fast. It was all I could do to get the thing out there.
Incorporated into your life. And then even ask them, did you book your discovery session?
Yeah, that was the other way I went.
Do you have the link to book? Did you book? Would you like to book? Do you need support in booking?
Yeah, I could not remember the phrases. I was so tired when that slow music came on. I swear I almost fell asleep. I was like, oh, I gotta move. So I started kicking my feet and anything I could to stay awake, because it was so relaxing. And I'm like, nope, 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 wake up, wake up, wake up.
I feel so irresponsible that I did not check everything in the chat. I didn't save the chat, because who knows what was there.
I felt bad.
Who knows if people texted me directly and
I was watching that, and
I was back and forth. It's difficult when you have the two screens with Spotify music and then having the Zoom. Usually I can have two monitors, but I just
I took care of it. I took care of all the chat. I just forgot to save it. That was the only thing I did bad. I was so worried about getting out of there and getting ready.
Might have texted me directly, and then I wouldn't have.
It came up to me too whenever they did, because I was
co-host. Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh, so, good.
Yeah. So
tell me what then. Was there anything else?
No, that's what I'm saying. She was the only one that texted us directly that I saw. And you just had some major love in the chat. I mean, people were just sending you love right and left.
Like what?
They love the music. They loved your playlist. They didn't call it a playlist, of course, but they loved the music. The ones that had to leave early, all apologized. Every one of them apologized for having to leave early. But they didn't want to leave. You could tell they
Maybe
did
we
not
can
want to leave.
go, over it because I don't, maybe we can go, like, can I share my screen and we can go look over the list of the people and see who all was there?
We'll have
And
the list.
would everyone that was there actually be on Eventbrite?
Well, they should. Hopefully, it'll be on there.
But
I
they
can't
would
believe
have
I didn't go on
had to be
Eventbrite.
there.
Do you realize that? I was so busy. We were so busy doing all the other stuff. I forgot to do my Eventbrite, and I thought I did it. I swore up and down I did it. It wasn't there. I went and looked. I'm like, what? Oh well. I thought I did it. And I also thought that I like put a campaign out, but no, I think it was yours. I was remembering. Okay, let me go here to my downloads because I have that list. That you sent me. Oh, you know what? It may still be in my email.
Do you
I
want to
think
stop recording? Because this is going to go into confidential.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I forgot it was still running.